Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines for the weeks, introduce you guys to some cool new prog singles, and give you updates on what's happening on the channel here on Nathan on Shuffle. It's February 22nd, 2025, and a pretty interesting news week. Some really cool new artists putting out some new singles and introducing some upcoming albums. So I thought it'd be fun to do kind of a quick show here and let you guys know what's going on. Been a little bit of a quiet week on the channel, I'll admit. Had some other things going on. Spent some time with my wife, had a concert that I went to. So a lot of things kind of taking my attention and time, but glad to come here and talk to you guys and have a fun little episode here. Always happy to check in each week, and there should be some cool stuff coming up next week to get me back into the groove of things. So thank you guys for joining me. And first item on the list, I like to talk about some of the new releases that are coming out this weekend. We have a new release from Jason Bieler and the Baron von Bielski Orchestra. The album's called The Escapologist, and it's a really cool ride through a lot of different types of styles of music. It kind of has this harder rock aesthetic at times. It has dabblings in prog, and just really all the rules are thrown out the window with kind of a more zany type of music with some really cool melodies, some really cool stuff going on, some great interesting vocals. The main artist, Jason Bieler, is a pretty unique individual who has a very specific voice that he's conveying here, kind of like a Devin Townsend or a Frank Zappa or something along those lines. A little bit of humor, but just some fun musical adventures. They released a new single in tandem with the album release called Hollow, so that's going to be on my singles list. But yeah, definitely an album worth checking out. Wanted to bring that attention. And also Motorpsycho released their self-titled record, which seems to dabble more in the prog world, where their last couple records were a bit more shorter and more, pop song focused. Maybe not pop, but just more standard rock music, as opposed to some of their more exploratory progressive tendencies. This one kind of goes back to that a little bit more. So a lot of cool stuff to explore and enjoy. Let me know in the comments of any other big releases this weekend that I haven't mentioned. Number 2 on the list, Cosmic Cathedral announced their debut album, Deep Water. Of course, I'm really big into this news because this is the new project involving Neal Morse, who's my favorite artist. He's being joined by Chester Thompson, Phil Keaggy, and Byron House to complete a really interesting new lineup, a super group of sorts. They just announced that their new album's being released on April 25th this year, so not too far away, a couple months away, via Inside Out Music, and we get our first taste of what this group sounds like with their first single, which is kind of two of the first parts of this bigger suite of music, this Deep Water suite. We get the introduction and launch out part 1 as the single to give us a taste of what to expect. Some really cool, almost jazz fusion-y type instrumental stuff here. They've described the album as a bit more of kind of a yacht rock meets prog a little bit, kind of some Steely Dan influences, some Beatles flavors, but then some jazz fusion that comes into the forefront as well. So a little bit of a different feel. I think the single, you can definitely hear Neal Morse's tendencies and his typical songwriting style, but there is a little bit of freshness to the makes that the other band members are giving it more of this cool kind of jazz fusion-y jam band style to it. So really fun, excellent group of musicians. This should be a powerhouse album, and it's available for pre-order as well in a variety of formats: limited CD digipack, gatefold 2LP, and as a digital album as well. Already pre-ordered my copy through Neal Morse's website himself. So really excited for this record. It's definitely going to be one of the most hotly anticipated records for me and for my taste in progressive rock. So hopefully you guys are excited about it as well. Number 3, I saw that Karmakanic share a new single called Cosmic Love from their upcoming album Transmutation. This is really the first chunk of music we're getting to hear what this album might sound like. Jonas Reingold is the main brain behind Karmakanic. It's kind of his project. He's a bassist who came from the Flower Kings and has a prolific career here with Karmakanic. They've produced several albums together. He's bringing together a whole host of notable talent on this record, and it's probably, I imagine it's going to be an incredible prog record. I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite groups. They're going to be on Cruise to the Edge as well, so that's exciting. Joining him On this single, we've got vocals from John Mitchell, drums for Craig Blundell, and we get lead guitar from Randy McStein. So already just on this track alone, Cosmic Love, we've got a great lineup of musicians who've been pretty prominent in the recent prog scene. I really love this track. It's definitely more in kind of a more catchy, accessible vein compared to some of the big prog epics that they do in the past. But I know, it's just the single, just a taster, and I'm sure there's plenty of out-and-out prog on the full record itself. I haven't been able to hear it yet, unfortunately, but the release date is coming imminently in a couple weeks. It releases on March 7th. It's going to be available on CD, vinyl, and via streaming services. I've seen CD pre-orders go up on various sites. I don't think there's been a vinyl pre-order as of yet. Maybe the vinyl's a bit delayed in comparison, but for now, the CD version should be coming out and coming your way if you pre-ordered it by release date. It looks likely. So a lot of world-class talent on this upcoming record, Transmutation. We've got Steve Hackett, Simon Phillips, Nicky DiVirgilio, just a real who's who of modern prog, and this track is just fantastic. I love it. Love John Mitchell's voice. He has a bit of a Peter Gabriel style quality, and it's just a really well-done track that I just really love. Number 4, U.S. prog metal group Nospūn announced the Ozai EP and a lyric video for the Effervescent Power, which you can check out now. That'll be on my singles list. This is kind of interesting because the Ozai EP is like an EP of material they did prior to their first full-length record that came out a couple years ago now, which is one of my favorite records. It's called Opus. So this is a new budding young talent. They definitely are in the vein of like a Haken, definitely have some classic Dream Theater feels to them as well, but just a really incredible new group in prog metal that are kind of paving the way forward for the genre and have a lot of cool stuff planned. And this is a redo, essentially, of their previous EP as the name Ozai before they really solidified as Nospūn. So kind of like what Haken did with their Restoration EP, where they brought back old material from their demos and kind of re-recorded and brought them to kind of a newer era. That seems to be what the idea is for this project. So the EP... this is the 10th anniversary of Ozai that is being marked here and why they're doing this right now. It's the first music that this group collective created together, so it's really special to them. And so it should be a really cool, interesting release. And it's coming out March 28th, available for pre-order on CD right now. And this first track, Effervescent Power, is a lot of fun. It's a shorter track. It's a little bit more aggressive and heavier sounding than what they did on Opus. But it still showcases their cool progressive metal leanings. So really excited to see what's coming down the pike from them. They're also working on an upcoming second full-length studio album. Should be on its way probably either later this year, maybe even pushed into next year, something like that. But they're definitely actively working on that. This is a little bit of a taster before we get to the main event of their next full-length album. Just kind of a cool throwback to their kind of old school lineup and what they were doing before they really came out with Opus. So thought that was interesting. And also, Genesis shares a 2025 remaster of Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the title track. This is coming from their big box set release, big deluxe reissue of their 1974 double album. Originally was slated for release in March, but looks like it's being pushed back now to June 13th through Rhino Warner Music. But we get a cool remaster track here to get a little taster of what to expect. A really great version of Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, the title track. This 50th anniversary Super Deluxe edition sees the Lamb spread across 5 vinyl LPs and a Blu-ray, 4 CDs and a Blu-ray, and as a digital release, including a Dolby Atmos mix done by Bob McKenzie and overseen by Peter Gabriel and Tony Banks at Real World Studios. So definitely a big deluxe package of one of the most celebrated progressive rock concept albums in existence. Features the first time a full live show of the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway live at the Shrine Auditorium from January of 1975, including the encore tracks. So should be a really cool release. Unfortunate that it's getting delayed, but cool to get a little bit of a taster. Of course, this remastered version will be on my singles list as well. And that leads us to the singles list itself, which I've already mentioned the majority of the tracks that are on my list. Cosmic Cathedral's Deep Water Suite Launch Out Part 1, Karmakanic's Cosmic Love, Nospūn's The Effervescent Power, Jason Bieler and the Baron von Orchestra, Baron von Bielski Orchestra, Hollow, Genesis is The Lamb Lies Down Broadway 2025 remaster. And I also had a couple extras that I put on because I've been really enjoying them. One is Brass Camel and their track Borrowed Time, kind of giving a bit of a funk element, blending rock, funk, and prog. And it's just really excellent. This is from their upcoming second album that should be really fun, and one I'm anticipating. This is a Vancouver-based trio of musicians, and really excited to see what comes in their future, because this track is really strong, and I wanted to point it to your attention to check it out. And I wanted to put in Brian D'Addario, Till the Morning. He's one of the members of the Lemon Twigs, one of the two brothers who does all the songwriting for them. Loved their album last year. It was one of my favorites. So anything by this group I'm really interested in. So it seems like it's coming from an upcoming solo album by Brian, which should be coming in March 20th. So that should be cool to get a taste of Brian's solo record, which seems to be material that the brothers kind of worked on together but didn't really fit on a Lemon Twigs album. So should feel similar to the vibe of Lemon Twigs, but a little bit different. So as for the channel itself, it's like I said, it's been a pretty quiet week. I did a Sunday Shuffle episode with Jana last Sunday of I've Seen All Good People, classic Yes song, so please check that one out. I was on Prog Corner's channel doing his live stream last week, which was a lot of fun, talking to John Baghold of Pattern Seeking Animals, talking about our favorite modern prog songwriters. So if you want to check out that live stream, it's available on Prog Corner's channel as well. For the next week, I have a great album review that I'm looking forward to putting out there. Dim Gray's album Shards, their new album comes out next Friday, and I wanted to get a review out there to get you guys hyped and excited for what I feel is one of the best records I've heard so far this year. And I think I'm going to do a Dream Theater concert review, because I went to their concert this past Wednesday, and I wanted to give my accounting of the experience. Very brief and just kind of a fun little short video of what happened there when I was out in Highland, California, experiencing Dream Theater. So, and there'll be, of course, a great Sunday Shuffle this Sunday. We're reacting to a classic prog track. So that should be a lot of fun as well. So there you have it. That's the lineup. That's what you could expect from the channel. And I just want to say thank you guys for joining me, for being so wonderful and always following the channel and sticking around for these weekly news updates. I have a lot of fun putting this stuff together. And as always, put anything in the notes in the comments section that you guys thought about that I didn't mention in the show. Always great to see extra attention being brought to some great prog news and prog bands out there. So thank you guys so much again, and I'll catch you guys in a future episode. Bye everybody, enjoy the music.